Hello and welcome to a new interview on the question, what do criminal offenders need in order to desist from crime in the future, and what do victims of crime need in order to find closure? Today we're traveling far beyond this map of Europe where I usually show you where I meet my interview partners. We travel to the island of Bali in Indonesia on the other side of the world, where I met Aditya Weriansyah at the 7th World Congress on Probation and Parole. Adit holds a bachelor's degree in law from the Indonesian University in Jakarta, and he works for an NGO named Indonesian Judicial Research Society. Adit will explain to us what this NGO is concerned about and how it is involved in major legal changes that took place and are still currently taking place in Indonesia concerning the prison, probation and parole systems. Before that, of course, like always, I talk with Adit about where and how he grew up, in this case in rural Indonesia, what his beliefs are, what drives him to work in the criminal justice system, and also, of course, what his expectations and hopes for the future are. If you like the interview, please leave us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'm Joe, and I would say, let's go. Okay, Adit, very good that we have the chance to meet for an interview. The 7th World Congress on Probation in Bali, Indonesia has just closed and finished.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about your work at the IJRS.
Yeah.
And it's an NGO that works in criminal justice. It's very interesting, I think, because for democratic processes, I think it's extremely important that we have NGOs with the task you have with your organization. And it's very good that something like that exists in Indonesia. But that's for the second part of our interview, your organization. And in the first part, the viewers, our listeners, and I myself would like to get to know you as a person. What motivates you, and what does your vita look like? What brought you to criminal justice? You have a Bachelor of Law, a law degree from Jakarta University. How did that come? So you sent me a CV, but the CV is only about your impressive publications and about your law studies, but not very much about what happened before. So what formed your beliefs and your convictions. So I would like to know a little bit about how your childhood looked, how you grew up, what formed your interest in criminal justice, and also the decision to work for an NGO and not for a government organization. So can you tell us where you were born and where you grew up and went to school and how that was like?
Okay, Joe, thank you. I was born in Jambi province. Jambi province is in Sumatra Island. My place is in outskirts Jambi province, actually. The nearest airport from my hometown is 8 hours by bus, by the way. So it's quite isolated place. So I grew up in there. I live in religious family, and I attend for elementary school, Islamic school for my elementary. But the fun fact is, in my senior high school, I don't know if you have the same concept in Germany or not, I attend the semi-military school.
No, we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, you never know.
I hope not. Because semi-military school is mean like I have to wear the uniform like military, and also we have the assessment, or like in the last semester we have assessment for my physical fit. Like it's really like the military personnel, and also we have military personnel active in our high school. So
how old were you when you entered that school?
Like maybe like 16.
16. Okay.
16 or 15, I guess.
So the last years of your school career, then.
Yeah, and we have many schools that like my school, semi-military schools in Indonesia.
And was your interest in law and law enforcement formed at the school, or where did it come from, or is it a family thing?
Not at all. So my family is my father back then is farmer, and right now he's car driver online. So basically, I don't have my family does not have big lawyer background or law school background. I'm the first of my family who graduated from the university and take the law school. It just like, okay, when I was in senior high school, all of my friends, because we are in semi-military school, want to and have a dream to go to military academic, and want to become the military personnel or police officer. But at the time I also dream about it, but I'm not too tall, so I don't pass the test. So, but yeah, and when I think about the subject to the university, I just reflect myself. I love debate. I'm an active debate when I in senior high school.
What do you love?
Debate.
Debate.
Okay. Yeah, I'm active in debate organization. I also loved writing. So I think maybe the fittest subject for my skill is the law school. So that's why I attended law school. I have no idea actually about that before. So just because I think my soft skill is about the debate. I love debate, I love writing. I think it's fit to be a lawyer in the future.
And who funded your studies? Didn't it cost a lot of money to go to university?
In Indonesia, for the people who come from the lower income, you can get funded by the government.
Okay.
So my senior high school also funded by the government. My university also funded by the government until I graduate. So they funded.
Okay. So then during your studies at Jakarta University,
Indonesia University.
In Jakarta, yeah?
Yeah, in Jakarta.
Yeah. You developed an interest for criminal justice. And why was that? Is it anything that has to do with your religion, or did your parents bring you on this track, or was it any kind of role model of a person you know? How did it come?
I don't have fancy answer about it because it's really hard for me to choose the criminal justice sector. Why? Because I come from the lower background economy. So if you want to become rich, like, you have to study economic law. You have to study maybe like private law. In my university, from 600 students in my generation, only 10 people take the criminal justice as a specialty. Okay. I'm one of them. Why I choose? Because I don't know, I just love to read the criminal law books. I just love to, like, it's like you really close with the people, right? And when I work with IJRS, I know the answer behind it, because sometimes even when I work with IJRS, I feel dilemma. Should I continue working on this specialty or not? Or should I go to I become a lawyer, or I become the corporate lawyer, something like that? At least I found the reason, because maybe the easiest way to the government, to the government to control the society is from the criminal. It's just you make the criminal code, you take that as a criminal act, something like that. It's really easy to shape the society. Okay. Back then, we have until today, basically. For example, we have the rule you cannot share the Marxism idea in Indonesia, despite of the academic interest or something like that. But basically, Marxism is. So it's just example how the government can control the society. So I think I don't want to live in my life. I don't want to live in authoritarian government. So I think I can help that. It's like, yeah, I'm involved in criminal justice reform.
Yeah.
I advocate in the human rights. I try to do some research, and I criticize the government.
Yeah. So okay, then I understand why you chose also to work for an for an NGO that's more critical towards what happens politically or in administration. Although another choice could be to join administration to change things from the inside. Yeah. Did you never think about that?
I ever thinking about that. My parents always told me, like, don't you want to try to work in the government or to become the prosecutor or a judge? But technically it's practical answer, Joe. We have quite low pay for the public official. So if I have to take that, and in my economic situation, I have little brother to take care, I have my family, my parents to take care. It will not be enough to them. So yeah, there is one problem in Indonesia. We have really low pay for public official. Maybe you know because you interview the probation officer.
I talked to a lot of people over the last days here, so it is very low pay. That's right.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's practical problem. Maybe in the future, I would love to maybe become the judge or prosecutor, but right now, I think it's not an option for me.
Okay, but on the other hand, it's also, I mean, not a big danger because Indonesia is a democracy, and I saw at this Congress, the World Congress of Probation and Parole, that critical voices are heard and are allowed to take part, like you, like other people we heard, quite well known, as I learned, judges from Indonesia. So it's possible to be critical, but still it can also be dangerous to work for a critical NGO like the one you work for, right?
I could say maybe we should be aware that there is a potential to that, but so we should try to balance. When we criticize, we should in a good way and something like that.
But then, you know, working for an organization like that, there must be more behind than only that you earn maybe a little bit more money than in public administration. It's also, I mean, you can only work for an organization like yours when you're really committed to an issue like humanistic values in criminal justice. I think that's what it's about. Where does it come from? Why is that so important for you?
Our criminal justice problem, it's really complex, you know, like the highest crime in Indonesia, the most crime in Indonesia is narcotics. So I think you can imagine people use drugs. They can prison to 4 years, up to 4 years, sell small amount of drug, minimum 4 years, minimum 4 years. It's you cannot do that without the research. You cannot. I just feel like I should give some advice to the government to open their eyes to see the reality. So that's why we work on the criminal justice research to advocacy, human rights, because it's really affect us, the society. Maybe today, not me personally, not my family, but we don't know the tomorrow. We don't know the next year. Because I have some of my friends that got trouble in the criminal justice sector, and it's really hard to recover from that. It's really hard to recover from that. So I believe because I understand about the impact when you go in the criminal justice sector, it's really huge. I think the government should be aware and really like do some research when you enact the Criminal Justice Act, because it's really affect us as a society. Only on criminal justice sector you can take the liberty from the people, right? You can make people go to the jail, you can fine them, So that's why we should really careful to in the criminal justice sector. So that's why I work on this issue.
Okay, thank you very much. So you seem to be very much committed to this issue, and that's good in a position like that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's okay for your biographical background. And in this part of the interview, I always ask my interviewees 2 questions that you do not have to answer if you don't want to. But it's interesting from the perspective of different aspects to know whether people who work in criminal justice as professionals have experience as criminal offenders themselves. Would you say that you've ever offended criminal law?
Yeah. On traffic.
Okay.
I'm traffic. I think because I'm still young, maybe I just got on traffic problem, so I have to pay some fines to the police. Just that.
Yeah, but nothing else, nothing severe. No. Okay.
No.
And on the other hand, have you ever experienced to be a victim of crime? I mean, Jakarta is a huge city, so I think there's a lot of crime happening in the streets at night, during the day. Have you ever had any experiences in that respect?
Yeah, I've experienced maybe 3 times or 2 times. I forgot the exact number. For sexual harassment, one in my campus, and one is at like mall near Jakarta. And luckily I can.
By strangers?
A stranger.
Okay.
And luckily I can clear up on my way. I recover from that.
But
luckily it's not to affect me personally.
But did anything serious happen, or was it just
It just like staring at you and doing like disgusting stuff, something like that.
Which would be which could be prosecuted as a criminal offense.
In Indonesia, you could prosecute it, but I'm not reported it.
Okay. But you didn't react, and you just went your way, and then was okay.
I react. I like shouting at that. Yep. And it just like something like that.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much for your insights in your personal life and beliefs. And we make a cut here.
Okay.
And then in the second part, we want to get to know a little bit more about your organization and the work you do for the Indonesian justice system. Thank you, Adit.
Thank you.
Okay, Adit, second part of our interview, we want to talk about the work of the IJRS, your organization, your employer. But before we start to talk about the organization itself, I would be interested in which role civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations play in Indonesia, and especially in the sensitive field of criminal justice.
If I'm not mistaken, many of NGO in Indonesia founded after the Suharto regime.
The end of the 1990s?
The end of the 1998, because back then it's really strict, it's really hard, it's quite dictatorship. So it's dictatorship, actually. And after that we have reformation, we have reform, we like it's win for democracy. So many NGOs started at that point, okay, in 1998. But so their role was back then is to assist the government, basically, to assist the government how to make the policy, how to change the policy, and how to evaluate the policy, basically. And after that, my office right now is founded in 2019 or 2018. It's still new NGO. And we also play on advocacy, on legal training also. We do some training with the lawyer, with the judge, like we coordinate the training. And also we drafted the regulation, assist the government, for example, drafting the regulation for the prosecutor and for Supreme Court. For example, my first project is drafting Supreme Court sentencing guidelines. So basically we have three divisions: criminal justice reform, good governance, and gender and disability. So I'm working at criminal justice reform division. So our dream is we can influence the public policy by research, by doing like monitoring and evaluation, or we assist the government to drafting the regulation, their internal regulation, advocacy, the bills, the act, and yeah, we hope we can influence about, and we can change the direction of what the policy they will take.
Okay, and you said earlier on that you are critical towards the criminal policy in Indonesia, but on the other hand, you also work closely together with the Ministry of Justice.
It's the good thing basically, because we in the outside we really loud to criticize, for example, the Attorney General Office or the Supreme Court policy sometimes. But we work really close with them.
But it's just a contact on a working level. You're not financed by the Ministry of Justice or public administrations, are you?
Sorry?
You're not financed by the ministries or public administration?
No. Okay. We have to scheme about the funded. We can from the national budget. For example, when we work with the Attorney General Office, for example, we can get funded by the national budget. The public also have the budget, so they funded us. So basically, it's from national budget. And the second way we can get funded from like the other, maybe from the donors, like foreign fund or people, maybe something like that. So but if your question is like, do we get regular fund by the Ministry of Law? No.
So what are your sources of funding then?
Yeah, we really depends on the funding.
Yeah, what kind of funding? From foreign countries mainly?
Indonesia have really close relationship with Australia, for example. So they have like sort of funded from Australia, who G2G, it's government to government. Australia government have maybe like, I don't know, bilateral agreement or something with the government of Indonesia. So they funded, and it controlled by the Ministry of like Planning in Indonesia. And from the Ministry of Planning, it's distributed to NGO or can be direct to NGO, can be to the public department. So we work with the parliament, we got the funded, something like that.
So you don't get direct funding from abroad, but through Indonesian authorities?
Yep, we also have direct funding from direct foreign also as well.
And how big is your organization? How many people work for IJRS?
It's for the NGO in Indonesia, it's medium maybe, because the researcher is like 16 if I'm not mistaken, but for all of the members it's like 25. 25. I know some NGO like only 15, only 12 even, but there is also like maybe 50. So it's like in the middle.
So you're maybe 6, 7, 8 people that are engaged in criminal justice reform, right?
Yeah. We're still young. We're still young. Like we only founded like 6 or 7 years ago, and not only law graduate, but also from criminology and sociology also.
Okay, so you have different professions on board. That's very good. And when we come to our topic, the topic of my channel and also of the conference we both attended here on Bali, probation and parole, you had some major legal changes over the last years. I learned in 23 there was a new law, in 2025, and there's even one to come in 2026. Can you explain for the worldwide public, mainly in Europe, what this reform is about. I mean, before these reforms, you more or less worked according to colonial criminal law that you adopted from the Netherlands, and now you have your own laws. What does that mean for prison and for the probation system?
Yeah. Okay, well, we already enacted the new criminal code in 2023, but it will be enforced, it just enforced in 2026, so it have 3 years.
Okay.
The major change in the new criminal code, basically in the book one is about the like the principle, okay? The major change is actually the sentencing. Type of punishment and sentencing. So in the new criminal code, we have the principle of sentencing, and we also have like a guide for the judge or the prosecutor when they want to request or they want to impose the sentence. For example, if you want to imposing the imprisonment, so here is the criteria you should take a look, you should take into account. If you want to non-custodial sentence, so this is the criteria you should take into account. So I think it's good. It's good regulation because it's really help a lot judge when they do the daily activity, when they're imposing the sentence. The second one is we also add some type new punishment. People always say this is the new punishment in Indonesia because we regulate about the suspended sentence and also the community service. But actually, when you take a look closer in the previous criminal code, we also have the same concept from the Netherlands. Suspended sentence, we also have that one. About the community service, we also have that one, but it never implemented. And maybe many people forgot about it. Even you never. It's really hard for you to find the decision that using the suspended sentence or community service in from the previous criminal code. Even they already regulated. So if they campaign that we add new type of punishment, basically no. You regulate clearly with technical regulation, with technical stuff, yes, but you cannot claim that you add something new basically about the punishment. We have, but we never implemented it. Maybe because we don't have the technical regulation about it.
Okay, but I mean the important thing is what's implemented. And when I listened to the speeches of your ministers from Jakarta at the conference, also from academia, from professor of your law faculty, I heard them say that there is a major shift to be seen in Indonesia to diminish prison sentences and go towards, take away towards non-custodial sentences. And that's the important thing, no matter whether it's old or new law. Do you see that shift, or is that just rhetoric?
Actually, we have a big challenge about that. About the behind the idea about they adding and they regulate about the new type of punishment is because they want to reduce overcrowding. Because Indonesia have massive number. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I bring the brochure. Like in 2025, we have 99% overcrowding. 90.9% overcrowding.
Okay.
So the inmates is to 277,000. And the space only 145.
Okay.
So it's really high number of overcrowding. So why I said this? You have the law, but it doesn't mean the overcrowding problem solved. Why? Because we have massive problem with narcotics. 40% of our cases, 40% of our inmates, it's for narcotic cases. If you want to to reduce the overcrowding, just pass the bill of narcotics. Just make maybe like reduce the lowering the punishment, lowering the punishment, or just decriminalization for the misuse of drugs. So like Indonesia, you can imagine like if you take away all of the criminal cases despite narcotics in the prison is still full. We have the data on this browser. This prison is still full. So, and yeah, if you want to, I think the shortest way to reduce prison overcrowding is changing the narcotic bills. That's the first step. The second step, if you want to reduce overcrowding, yes, you can, but you have to take on your mind that you should do non-custodial sentence, impose non-custodial sentence for the drug cases, especially maybe for the misuse of drugs and also for selling on a small amount drugs. And like 30% of people who got prison for misuse of drug and drug trafficking, it's young. It's like people like me, it's like 20 and 29. It's very young.
And you don't see any shift in that direction, or any initiatives that really are intended to reintegrate people? It's only about reducing the prison overcrowding, you would say?
Yep, the main idea is to reduce prison overcrowding, but they also aware that it's also for their integration. So that's why in the general comment, and we like general explanation from the criminal code, they explicitly say for to reduce overcrowding and also to easily people to reintegrate each other. So that's also their idea base actually.
And did you see any change in the probation and parole system over the last years since the new laws were debated, or is it just still the same as before, just gets another label?
Okay, in my observation, actually the government doesn't really invest to the correctional things. They don't. I believe they cut their budget. In terms of budget, okay, they cut their budget. So it means they don't really invest on that. And by the law, actually they have some changes. The probation and parole have so many things that they can to do right now. They have to do risk assessment for the adults. Back then, it's only obligation for the children, but right now it's not obligatory, mandatory assessment for the adults, but the judge should take into account about the defendant's background, life background. So it could be translated. There is a probation role on that point, but sadly, this is the one of our try to advocate in the legislative. For detention, there is no need to risk assessment for people who will get detained or not, sadly. So there is no role probation center on that. But yeah, it just police self-assessment.
And is that something you lobby for? Do you have any ideas how there should be systematic changes in that system, and do you address them, and do you
for detention?
Them? No, for probation and parole.
Yeah, we always try to advocate about. Okay, we have problem in sentencing disparity. Okay, we have massive disparity. We have the data for the narcotic, for the sexual harassment, and also for corruption case. So we believe that there is missing link why there is disparity. One of them is because there is no probation role to assess to make assessment for the perpetrator, for the offender. So the judge made self-assessment. So maybe today will be different for tomorrow. So that's why we try to advocate the sentencing guideline. So we hope that there is role from the probation officers to do that. So that's why we try to advocate. And for the new criminal procedure code, we also try to advocate about the requirement for the detention. At least you have the risk assessment for the probation officer, and also you take the people who you will request to detain, take to the judge, and let the judge make some hearing, and judge can got approval by the judge. Right now in Indonesia, you don't need approval by judge. Basically, police just can detain people anyway.
Yeah.
That's one of our problem, that the root problem why we have so many number of people in prison.
And I also learned that it's the prison governors who decide who goes on conditional release, and it's not a judge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I see that despite the fact that your government and also academia is very well aware that there have to be shifts towards non-custodial sanctions, the reality is not that easy, and there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
So what's your perception? Are you optimistic for your country in terms of prison and probation services for the future?
Frankly speaking, maybe for 1 or 2 or 3 years, I'm not too sure, because in Indonesia we not familiar when people involved in criminal justice system, they don't get detained. We're not familiar with that, and also we don't familiar if people don't get imprisonment as their sentence. Okay, public will be suspicious, so does the judge got a bribe? Does the prosecutor got a bribe? Yeah, because I couldn't say that because of public is not, so the society is punitive, but it's like how we do it day by day for at least maybe 30 years or 50 years back then. So when you want to make a massive changes, I think it really takes time. So I think that's the role of the university, the campus, to make maybe like seminar or something like that. It's also our task as an NGO to do some research and to like promote about the non-custodial sentence for the society. At least they can open their eyes, like, maybe it means like 50 years back there we do something wrong. Something like that.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a good conclusion, I think, and I know that you're an optimistic person because we talked before this interview also, and you have a lot of time. You're only 24, so I wish you personally, and I wish your organization all the best with the penal reforms in the next decades in Indonesia. And I'm an optimistic person as well. So there are only 2 things left for me, because I always ask 2 standard questions to my guests, and you're supposed to answer them in 1 sentence. It's not so easy, but it's doable. And the first question is, what do you think need criminal offenders most in order to desist from crime in the future?
I think it's economic background. If you have a good economic situation, it's less likely you involve in criminal justice system.
Okay. Very good, thank you. And the other question is about victims. We didn't talk about victims very much today. Also in the conference we didn't talk very much about victims, but we more or less do the things we do in prison and probation to protect victims. So if something happens, you made an experience as a victim as well, not very severe, but you know what it feels like. What do you think need victims of crime most in order to cope with what happened, in order to find closure?
Victim need to be here, and also make sure that victim got recovered well, like in terms of mentally, physically, and economically. And it's really quite hard to find it in Indonesia.
Okay. So you need support for that, right? Okay. Thank you very much, Adit. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Gio.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.